Hello everyone, welcome to Marketing 452 International Marketing. This is Chapter 6. In Chapter 6, let's talk about global competition, global competitors. Okay? And if you ever go to another country, you will see that in other countries, even this country as well, anywhere really, that there are global brands available for consumers in those countries. You can see in this chart here, this picture here, um, I actually don't even remember where this was taken, but anyway, you can see the familiar Coca-Cola sign, and you see the Sprite, and there are also others that you may not recognize, right? Those are either global brands or the local brands that's competing with your multinational companies, with American companies like Coca-Cola. Okay? So in this chapter, we talk about the globalization of competition, okay? Strategic options for local companies, okay? Cultural attitudes toward competition. Okay? May not everyone views the competition as something good. Okay? Home country actions and global competitiveness. Home country actions. Remember, it was home country versus host country. Home versus host country. Okay? Competitors from emerging markets, emerging economies. The country of origin effect. The country of origin effect is advantage and disadvantage. Okay? Let's talk about the shampoo in China. Um, in China, okay, um, I know you guys are mostly, you probably were born after 2000, year 2000. When I was little, when I was young in China, there was no shampoo. At that time, when you want to wash your hair, you just use soap. Right? You use soap to wash your face, your body, your hand, your feet, your hair, all the same thing. Right? Just soap, bar soap. Right? Of course, there were different types of soaps. There are soaps for the for your face. There were soap for your bathing. Okay? And there were soaps for like washing large quantity of clothing, and the big bar soap versus smaller fragrant soaps. And I remember when the first time I used shampoo, don't remember the exact years, but it was an eye opener. I mean, it was such an eye opener because this thing is so it's liquid, semi-liquid form, and it's soft, easy to apply, and it generates lots of bubbles and clean up your hair nicely and leave some pleasant scent behind, right? So that's shampoo. Okay. When shampoo, global companies like American companies like Procter and Gamble went into the Chinese market, right? Procter and Gamble had to battle Kao, the Japanese company, L'Oreal, the French company, and Unilever, the British company, all for this emerging market of Chinese market. Okay? And soon after not too long after the American European brands went into China to compete in the market, new Chinese brands started to emerge. Yeah. But basically, as the new millennium, started, the Chinese brands recaptured the market, jumping from 1/3 of share of market to 2/3 share of market in just 2 years. In just 2 years, that was fast for them to catch up. Okay? And then the argument of those, or the advertising slogan for those Chinese companies, were like, oh, this P&G, is from America, is mostly for Americans, for blonde hair, and we, a Chinese local brand, domestic brand, we know your black hair better. We there are something that's nutritious to your hair, blah blah blah. They use those kind of slogans in their advertisement. And how did the P&G respond to that? P&G responds to the successful launch of a new shampoo called Olive, just to fight those local Chinese brands. And their logo, or logo in their the taglines in their advertisement was like, we also know we study your hair, black hair, right? We also know your local market. We use local good ingredients to make your hair healthy and shiny, and that's how they competed. So for something like shampoo, global players, compete fearlessly in emerging markets. There is a globalization of competition. You know, Virtually in all product categories, you see global competitions. Like this app, uh, and also I don't recall exactly where this is. Some foreign countries, probably in South America. You can see the logos of Coca-Cola versus Pepsi-Cola, and they're competing in that local market. Okay? So global firms compete with global firms, okay? And also global firms compete with local firms. Okay? What are the strategies? Right? Strategy of global companies and local companies. Right? They use all kinds of competition with all kinds of strategies. Right? One of them is called the cross-country subsidization. Cross-country subsidization, meaning, say, for example, if you're an American company operating in Mexico, okay, that they may also be competing in, say, in Panama or Colombia, right? They may use proceeds or profit from one country to subsidize their cooperation in another country, you know, both in Latin America. Right? They can do that, and to help their country subsidiaries to fight their common enemies or common competitors. So that's called cross-country subsidization. Okay? There's also the counter-parry or counter-attack. They may compete with the American company, another company, or local companies, and the local company may say, you compete in my territory, I'll compete with you in your territory. Like some television networks, in Mexico. You know, when U.S. companies, U.S. telecommunications broadcasters went into Mexico to compete in the local market, Mexican telecommunication companies, TV broadcasters came to the U.S. in southern United States to compete in this market, uh, broadcasting to programs to the audience who speak Spanish. Okay? Also, they use globally coordinated moves to better fight with their competitors. Sometimes, if you say, for example, American company, you start selling a new product in one country, but not immediately in another country, and then your competitor in the other country may see your operation, may see your new product, and they may launch a similar product ahead of you. Okay? So the better to put you in a better position, you may want to coordinate. You may want to coordinate your activities across countries and to fight your competitors at the same time, in all the fronts. Okay? That's called globally coordinated moves. Okay? Let's look at the cola wars. Cola wars, that's between Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola. Okay? They battled, fiercely in virtually all every market, every country. Okay? Coke bought the Pepsi's Venezuela distributor, and then Pepsi brings successful antitrust lawsuit against Coke in Mexico. Okay? When Coke sponsors Argentina soccer team, Pepsi sponsors the soccer team soccer championship. Okay? And both battle for India, a huge market. Okay? So it is still ongoing, even in America, in our own country, and they battle, fiercely in campus by campus, like, local by local. For our campus, USC Aiken, I think we are our Coke country, right? We have Coke machines, Coke vending machines. Everything is served on campus is Coke, right? And we don't see Pepsi here, right? It's because they signed a deal, with this university, with this campus, to have exclusive rights for Coca-Cola products. And for other campuses, they may have, all exclusively Pepsi products. Okay? Coke once paid $80 million to sponsor the Beijing Olympics. Big money spent there. Okay? Another example of global competition is Airbus versus Boeing. Airbus versus Boeing. Okay? Aerospace, airplane, passenger airplanes, right, is a global industry. Okay? Buyers are global, as you can expect. Right? Buyers are those airlines from different countries. Some are government owned, some private, all over the place. Right? The cost of R&D, research and development, are extremely high to develop a new, jet airplane. Okay? So the industry is increasingly defined by two companies. Okay? One is Airbus by the EU countries, mostly France and Germany, and the other is Boeing, an US company. Okay? Both companies rely on government subsidies to help fund those R&D costs. And the contention over amount and types of subsidies each government gives to their aerospace companies led to several WTO complaints. And I think the fight is still going, right? Still going. Can local companies successfully compete with the global ones? Can they do that? Increasingly, they do. You know, because the global firms are huge, are big, they're powerful, but local firms you can still compete with them. There's still ways for local companies to compete successfully with the global companies. Okay? What are the strategies for local firms to compete with the global ones? Okay? There are four strategies, right? Defender strategy, extender strategy, contender strategies, and dodger strategies. Okay, this can be in your test. Make sure you understand all the terminologies here, right? Defender extender strategies are less global, good for less global industries, okay? Firms in those industries, less global ones. Contender and dodger are more for global industries. Okay? Let's look at each and every one of them. What is a defender strategy? Defender strategy. Defense, on defense, right? Basically, you use your leverage. Local firms. Local firms use your leverage, your knowledge of local tastes and customs, okay? That because if you have good relationship with local distributors and or suppliers, you leverage on that, right? For example, Turkish fast food companies, they focus on local cuisine to fight the global fast food giants like McDonald's and Burger Kings. Right? In Chile, Chilean banks outsource their check processing, to make themselves, more competitive. Okay? Chinese online retailer called Dangdang exploits knowledge of local payment norms. The local payment norms is to their advantage. Okay, so defender strategy. Use your knowledge of local tastes and customs and relationships with distributors to compete with globals. Okay, defender strategy. Next one is extender strategy. Extender strategy, right? Basically, assets that work for defenders may also work in similar markets abroad. Okay? Whatever assets you have that work for you as a defender may also work in similar markets abroad. Okay? South American breweries, the company SAB is now called SAB Miller PLC. Okay? They work with American millers, Miller Industries, Miller beers. Okay? Televisa. Televisa is in Mexico, the television company. When U.S. companies, U.S. broadcasters went to Mexico to compete in Mexican market, Televisa, went north, moves north to America to compete. Okay? Bimbo Mexican packaged food is another example of how they uh, compete in your contenders territories. Right? That's called extender strategy. Extend to your home market. Right? Another strategy is called contender strategy. Contender strategy. The company must upgrade capabilities to compete. That you basically want to compete with the competitors head on, competition, right? And you must have your good capabilities in your research and development, also in your manufacturing, in order to compete with those global players. Okay? And if you're a private company, you may have to go public to raise fund, to increase your scale production, and to have your more marketing capabilities. Okay? Contenders may seek out seek out underserved niches that you did not realize before. Yeah, using that to compete, with your competitor. Yeah. Arçelik. Arçelik is a Turkish appliance company, and they use this strategy to fight with the British, UK companies. Okay? Contender strategy. The last one is dodger strategy. Dodger strategy. You cannot compete, you dodge. Right? For firms that cannot or won't be contenders, you can, choose this strategy. You can cooperate with global competitors, and you may want to use a contract manufacturing. Yeah, contract manufacturing, or you may want to rely on your local distributors. Right? Sometimes you may just have to sell your company, sell yourself to a larger global firms. Yeah, you dodge. Okay? That's for strategies. Okay? Global firms buys local firms. Right? This happens a lot. Right? You sometimes, as a global company, you may go to other country and may find need to buy the local companies. This can upset the local competitive environment. It may upset many people, including local government. Right? Heinz, right? The Heinz, we know the Heinz is the tomato sauce company, right? Tomato sauce, right? They dominated the soy sauce in Indonesia with this ABC brand. They have ABC brand of soy sauce that's very popular in Indonesia. Right? The British company bought the rival Bengal brand. Okay? Bengal sales surged due to Unilever's mass distribution system in Indonesia. Okay? There are different cultural attitudes um, um, that may affect your global competition. Right? Cultural attitude toward competition. Uh, and the rules are not the same, right? Also, the rules in business, they are written and unwritten rules, written rules and unwritten rules of the competitive game that vary across countries. Right? Also, in this country, we believe competition is good, right? We believe competition is good, and the government encourages competition. Actually, our governments, forbid companies from forming monopolies because we know monopolies is bad. They're going to raise price. They're going to hurt consumers. Competition is good because competition will lead to price competition by the competitors, therefore benefiting the consumers, in the same time, right? So we view competition as something good, right? It's necessary and good, right? But that may not be the view shared by other people in other countries. They may view competition as something bad, right? U.S. antitrust laws traditionally encourage competition, but are focused on good, you know, for the consumer. But some other countries they may view this competition as something that's wasteful. Right? Competition in Europe. You know, family-owned businesses play a substantial role in the economy in European countries. And you'd be surprised to see that, right? In Germany, family-owned businesses employing less than 500 employees account for 70% of all the employment. 70% of all employment are, are from those 500, for those family-owned companies that are employing less than 500 people. Okay? Many European companies, many European countries and companies are leery of stock market. They don't like stock market that much, right? They're concerned that stock market listing forces management to focus more on short-term rather than long-term goals. So it's not good for the business in the long run. And they also feel that it's more about the policing than adding value. Yeah, adding value. Okay? This competition in Europe. Right? Also, there are emotional ties to national champions still exist. Right? I think that's our brand, our country, our pride. Right? Survey suggests that the barriers to integration within the European Union may be emotional rather than regulatory. Okay? Emotional rather than regulatory. Okay? 13 out of the 15 most visible companies cited by respondents in Germany and France were based in the respondents' home countries. Okay? And 11 out of 15 British respondents cited the UK-based companies. You can see that, right? Also, cartel behavior. Cartel behavior, of course, is not allowed, is not tolerated, not permissible in these countries. You cannot have a cartel, okay? But cartel behavior tolerated later than in the US, than in European countries. Antitrust laws rarely enforced until the 1980s. But the EU country now enforces antitrust laws with the new vigilance. They're starting to do that now. Okay? EU antitrust laws focus on guaranteeing fairness among competitors. Okay? The EU is also concerned about global mergers, right? Grand Metropolitan and Guinness merger were their attention. Right? General Electric and Honeywell merger also part of their concern. They care about that. Competition in Japan. Yeah. Japan is an interestingly unique country with a unique competitive environment. Okay? And Japan is the market of intense competition. I was in Japan a few years ago, and you find that many companies competing for consumer goods, consumer durables in the Japanese market. Okay? Fierce, intense competition. Okay? But they have this system called horizontal kurasus. Horizontal kurasus. Kurasus means order or system. Okay? Basically, in Japan, there are six large industrial groups involved in nearly all industries, including a group bank, the six largest industrial groups. I think similar things are happening in South Korea as well. In South Korea, okay? For example, you know that the Mazda, right? Mazda, the car maker. We also know there's a Sumitomo Bank. Okay? They both are part of the Sumitomo Group. Sumitomo Group, right? In the group, in the group companies or industrial group, weak players are protected. Weak players are protected by the whole other companies in the group. Okay? So if you're an American company competing with, say, with the Mazda, for example, you may find that the Sumitomo Bank, unrelated to Mazda, seems to be a a separate bank that is behind Mazda, and they're all part of the same group company or industrial group called Sumitomo Industrial Group. Okay? But there seems to be a crack in the Kyoto system. Japan had a recession through the 1990s. You know, banks became more careful with their lending. Now they don't just lend you because you are part of the group. Okay? Sony withdraws from some businesses. Okay? So still Kyoto survived. Right? Kyoto system survived. Right? Still more than 20 years later, Kyoto survived, and culture changes slowly. Okay? Competition in emerging market. Competition in emerging market. The developing countries were traditionally wary of competition. Wary of competition. Okay? Foreign competitors often faced discrimination. Discrimination. Okay? There are restrictions on imports, and there are also restrictions set by the government on foreign direct investment (FDI). So there are restrictions there. Foreign competitions often faced with discrimination. They are discriminated against. Okay? There are government barriers to competition. The government may set some barriers to competition that may adversely affect your operation in the country. Okay? There could be tariffs and restrictions on imports. Okay? Tariffs on imports. Okay? There may be restrictions on foreign ownership and investment. The government set a policy saying that the locals, must have at least 51% ownership of any joint ventures. Okay? The government may control inputs such as land, power, or water. Okay? And the government may set restrictions on the permits that they issue you to start a business. Permits to start a business. But there has been market liberalization going on, right? What's market liberalization? Basically to liberalize, to privatize. Okay? Why do they liberalize? Could be because of external pressures, oftentimes from the United States government, right? Or from WTO, World Trade Organizations. Okay? There could be internal pressures to liberalize, to privatize. Right? There could be consumer pressures to urge them to do so. It could be government export goals set in that put pressure on privatization. Competitors from emerging markets. Competitors from emerging markets. Yeah. They are from emerging market economies. There may be state-owned enterprises. State-owned enterprises. SOEs, SOEs, right? That's owned by the country, by the state. There could also be business groups like the ones in Japan or in South Korea. Okay? State-owned enterprises or SOEs from those emerging markets. Okay? They have some perks or they have some certain advantages that you, foreign companies, may not have. Right? They may get priority in financing. Right? The local banks, the government banks, may give them the priority in offering them loans, but you don't get it. Okay? They may be protected from bankruptcy because they're national companies, national champions. They may be protected from bankruptcy. They won't go bankrupt. They keep bankrolling those companies even when they are failing. Okay? They're often granted monopoly, monopolize certain industries, right? But they have downsides as well. Yeah, oftentimes those state-owned enterprises have ancillary agendas set by the government. For example, they may have to keep their employees. They cannot just simply lay them off, fire them, right? The reinvestment funds may not necessarily be there available for them to make an improvement. Okay? Privatization. So what is privatization? We talk about privatization, liberalization. The privatization is the sale of state-owned enterprises or their assets. Right? Privatization occurred in former Soviet Union, Russia, okay? And also open to a certain extent in China as well. Okay? Basically, that seemed to be a trend, major trend worldwide. Okay? Self-owned enterprises. And why privatize? Yeah, is it because they don't have enough money? Yeah, it could be lot of ideologies, issues. And the example in that is Greece. Okay? Business groups that we just talked about, right? The business group, like the Sumitomo Group, right? Business groups in some emerging countries, are a unique presence. In Japan, there are 6 largest industrial groups that cover virtually all the industries. They're the major backbone of the national economy. Right? Within the business group, there are diverse businesses in the group. Right? They have a fiduciary bond. They have a fiduciary bond. They have board members, crossing with each other, right? Cross membership in the board. Okay? They have a financial core. Always have a financial core. A bank like that Sumitomo Bank in Sumitomo Group. Okay? And they have good or they maintain good government relations. Okay? They are family owned often, family owned, but expanded beyond the family, beyond the family. Yeah, but sometimes some would threaten somewhat by liberalization, and so they may either have to restructure or they have to internationalize. Okay? That's business groups. The House of Tata. Have you heard about the company called Tata? Tata, an Indian company. This company was founded by Jamsetji Tata in the last quarter of the 19th century. Right? The basic statistic about the company, they have 91 or more operating companies in the group. Right? They have covering 7 business sectors. Okay? The 2004-2005 revenue was $17.6 billion. That's 769,000 million or 769 billion rupees. That's the equivalent of about 2.9% of a country's GDP. Just one company, one big company that is about almost 3% of the country's total GDP. Yeah. I just checked their 2023 revenue. Um, you know, 20 years after it's 150 billion US dollars. Right? and it employs over 200 quarter million people. I have 32 publicly listed enterprises, have a combined market capitalization that is the highest among Indian business houses in the private sector, and a shareholder base of over 2 million people, 2 million shareholders. Okay. It operates in 40 countries across 6 continents, exports products, services to 140 nations, and even more. Right? That's House of Tata. Right? Tata, you look at the structure, they have Tata Sons, they have Tata Industries, they have new ventures, they have major Tata companies like Telco, Tisco, Tata electric companies, ACC, Tata Chemicals, Tata Tea, Indian hotels, etc. Okay? Those arrows indicate their investment flows, between the group companies and groups, and they have Tata Honeywell, Tata Telecom, Bangalore Airport, under their banner. Okay? Supporting national champions. Some emerging countries government they want to support their national champion. They may have a company that they're really proud of, that's considered the national champion. Right? They may allow monopolistic or oligopolistic behavior at home in order to strengthen a company's resources to compete overseas. So they allow this company to be a monopoly inside their own countries in order for them to compete better outside of the countries overseas, right? So they want to support, they want to maintain their national champions pride. Okay? A company in Mexico called the CMAX, right? The CMAX, the CMAX controversy, right? It grew from a local supplier in Mexico to one of the top global companies with more than 50,000 employees worldwide in 50 countries. Okay? CMAX, Cement Company of Mexico. Okay? That's one example of national champion. Okay? The country of origin effect. Right? Let's talk about something called the country of origin effect, or the country of origin advantage, or maybe it's a disadvantage. What is country of origin? Country of origin denotes the country with which a firm is associated, usually its home country. We know, for example, IBM, right? That's an American company, right? What is home country? Country of origin? USA for IBM. Sony, right, is a Japanese company. The country of origin is Japan, right? And so there is a country of origin. Right? Because of country of origin effect, right? The people or consumers believe, the country of origin is often product specific and can enhance the capability of competitors in product groups for which their country is well known. Because, for example, IBM is a great uh, computer maker, software service computer maker, right? Then the country of origin effect will give the other American companies the advantage of the being recognized, also recognized also good at making computers. Okay? For example, Iran, the country of Iran, right? Iran is known for making those Persian carpets, right? Persian rugs, Persian carpets, and then all the Iranian companies making Persian rugs, they will gain this advantage for because their country is known for making those rugs. So every country, well, all countries own rug or carpet manufacturers in Iran are benefiting from this country of origin effect. Same thing with France. Like all the wine makers, all the perfumes makers, they enjoy the country origin effect because they are from France, even though their product itself, themselves, the product itself may not be that good, but they have this advantage of country origin effect. Right? Also, vodka makers from Russia, right? But there are also other things that could be a disadvantage, like automobiles, for example, right? We wouldn't consider Russian-made cars are the best in the world. So they don't have they have a country of origin disadvantage in that case. But does that mean the old car makers in Russia are bad? Not necessarily so. If you are a good company, good car maker in Russia, because of this country of origin, this is a disadvantage. You may suffer from that. You may suffer from that. Okay, so it works both ways. Okay? In a few cases, certain countries connote more general product attributes. And because the country of Germany, for example, is known for engineering, right? We have the Mercedes-Benz cars, BMWs, Porsche, right? All the cars. We know Germans for being a good engineers, right? So all the engineering, everything related to engineering from Germany is considered to be believed to be of superiority, okay? And Italy is known for its design, right? Anything that's related to fashion design from Italy are considered superior than other countries. So there's a positive country of origin effects. Right? And also in general, consumers believe products from developed countries are better than those from developing countries. Okay? Do you believe that? Most consumers believe the products from developed countries are better than those from developing countries. That may not always be the case. Okay? Many people think Samsung is Japanese, but in fact, it's actually South Korean companies. Okay? I think that's all I have for this chapter, right? And that's it. And thank you. I'll see you next time. Country of origin perception can change rapidly. That's another thing to take into consideration. Okay, see you next time.